Black Voter.
Yeah.
It's a huge brand. How many years has it been?
So I'd say with Black Voter as the startup, it's only been 18 months. But I feel like everything that is within that 18 months has been a lifelong journey that has just been poured within those 18 months. So my background is in human resource. I'm a chartered human resource professional from the UK. I've worked in Fortune 500 companies essentially all my career, working in multinationals across the world. My recent job was heading 14 countries in Africa, leading HR strategy. And if I continue, you'd see that that's just my career. That's where, in terms of education and in terms of career, that's where I found myself in. However, there was a part of me, right, that has always loved the nightlife. So even when with my very stellar career, when it's time to go home and then when all the lights are dim and everybody just goes back into their spaces, I like to hang out. So not necessarily partying, jumping off tables, drinking and all that. There's a stereotype associated with nightlife. But for me, nightlife means something else. It's a part of society where people can be themselves, right? During the day, corporate lingo, corporate language is always there's always an angle to it. But in the evenings, safe to say we are all messed up. Like we all have problems, we all have issues. And in the nighttime is where people bring that to bear. So I just feel like within the nighttime, that's where just people just be themselves. So then with Black Voter, how it started was I had a group of friends. I had a WhatsApp group. I think, was it Snapchat or one of these platforms? My core four friends were the only ones who knew this part of my lifestyle. So mine was just every time in the night, everywhere I go, I was just putting everything I was doing on that platform for those four people. And at one point in time, I was like, you know what? I've documented my life. I had documented my life every day for about 7 years. So I was like, I wanted somewhere to actually put this. And I opened a platform, a page with no name at all. And then I started dumping the content on there. Anywhere I go, any interaction that I do in the night, just posted it there. And I think God blessed me with an eye for beautiful things. I would always say that I have an eye for beautiful things. I look at things a bit differently. And I create a lot of FOMO for people. When I post a picture, when I document something, you're like, why wasn't I there? Type. So people started going like, I didn't know nightlife was so interesting. I didn't know people could talk about bartenders, could talk about social issues, could amplify all these things within nightlife. Then it started becoming something pretty huge. And then I had to come up with a name for it.
And I wonder why you chose Black Voter.
So I had to come up with a name for it. And this was after like months of doing this. I had to come up with a name for it. That meant something. So in search of the name, I wanted something which was African, but at the same time Ghanaian. I wanted something which represented Africa in terms of entertainment and lifestyle, but was also very Ghanaian. And I didn't like the Afros. The Afros were overused for me. Afro something. So I started off with the word black. I took away the K. And at one point in time, I went for an event in the Volta region. And I was crossing the Adome Bridge. And then I just had an epiphany. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to call this thing Black Volta. So that's where the name essentially came from. So to cut the long story short, that's essentially.
But while you were in corporate, were you still doing heavily nightlife stuff?
I've been doing Black Volta essentially for the whole time for Black Volta. I think leading up until June of this year, I was in corporate.
But what is it about it that makes you want to just step out every night? You know, like, why do you want to step out every night?
I feel like I had a genuine interest. I had a genuine interest and curiosity for the nightlife. You get it? It was just how people behaved in the night. You understand? Why people do the things that they do in the evenings. You understand? Things like, okay, you go to a bar. Why would someone just come and sit by a bar and talk to a bartender? Come and tell them their issues. You get what I'm saying? Why do people come out and then they act like they are all holy and then they pick up a cigarette and start smoking? And like, why do people do the things that we do? The music, the DJs that play the kind of music that we actually play, they break out new music. So I feel like it was a whole world and whole ecosystem where I just found curiosity in.
Me, I like my space.
Yes.
I like my space. I was into music, but I didn't really like the whole nightlife. You know, you hardly find me out at night. You know, I like my space. You remember the event we went the other time?
Yeah.
I was there daytime and then nighttime.
And then you were off.
Out. Yeah. I don't like night stuff. Because, you know, I like my space.
Yeah.
So do you not like your space much? You just want to be out every night?
I love my space. But as I mentioned, I think nightlife is something that just came very easy to me. It's even with family. Sometimes they didn't understand why I just like to hang out. You understand? And I tell you, I'm not the party type. Even up till now, I'm not when it's nightlife, you won't see me drinking you won't see me drinking and partying and all that. It's really a collective of a lot of things. That's why I say I have an eye for different things. You get me? Why do you have this drip? Like, what do you want to communicate? Why? You get what I'm saying? There's a whole science around it for me.
You're very curious.
Yes. Very, very curious. And that led me into what we have as Black Volta.